All right.
get drunk and they're
We're
not.
back on the show here. We've got Boris Cherniak. Am I saying that right, Boris?
Sure.
I want to make sure that
I've
that
been
is
called
the
it
case.
absolutely everything.
Okay. What
Okay.
makes you so incredible? I
I'm a
wanna
hypnotist.
know.
Incredible is really not by choice. It took a long time to get to the Incredible Boris. I started performing as just Boris. It's my real name. It's not a stage name. Most people tend to expect it to be something that you come up with, and that's what I'm going to be. No. So my last name's Cherniak. A little bit difficult to pronounce, tough to remember, spell. So, okay, Boris is the performer. And then people kept adding things to it. When I was advertised, promoters, club owners would put stupendous, amazing. And oddly enough, amazing was taken at the time by the amazing Kreskin. So I picked one that I didn't mind as much, and that's how it kind of got stuck.
So, all right.
The Incredible Boris.
Well, we should. I mean, I think we didn't.
Go ahead.
We didn't really go into. We didn't give you a proper introduction. Is what I'm getting at, Boris. 'Cause-
I'm okay with any introduction.
Well,
I'll
you're.
jump into it.
I mean, you're an actor and entertainer, comedian. But this we're talking about hypnosis here, stage hypnosis.
I'm
right?
a stage hypnotist. That's basically the main tag. I'm a comedian hypnotist. That means I simply present something through hypnosis, but I'm a comedian first.
All right. Okay. Now, I got to ask you. Now, I've had the opportunity to see stage hypnosis, even in high school, like on a career
Chancer
day.
may have been me.
Career day. It wasn't actually, because
All
I
right.
know who it was. But I have to ask, like, how did you learn to be able to hypnotize people? Like, what's the story of that? How you got the skill?
The background, I read a book one time, which I could not believe it was even remotely possible. The book was The Search for Bridie Murphy, and it's a recollection of a lay hypnotist who happens to stumble upon hypnosis, takes a lady, hypnotizes her, and regresses her past her birth. So she becomes another character. She calls herself Bridie Murphy.
I've heard that name before.
Right.
Bridie
And it's
Murphy.
an old age classic, sold millions of books, which is absolutely marvelous. So the gentleman actually takes all of the information, writes it down, documents the whole thing, and then goes and verifies it. All of the people, the places, and everything that you talked about happens to be true.
That's
That's
okay.
how
That's
the
an
book ends.
right, and it's a true.
It's a true account, and I needed to know more. Most people read the book, say, yeah, wonderful, put it on the shelf. I had to know more, and I literally read thousands of books on the subject. I don't think there's anything left in the medical libraries of U of T or York that actually has anything to do with hypnosis that I have not read at this point in time.
So now, just through reading, were you able to teach yourself?
I learned initially as a lay hypnotist what this is all about, because I needed to know exactly what's happening, how things work, and then I took it further. Later on, I got certified that it's a hypnotist, hypnotherapist, and I'm actually quite active in different guilds. But it started out literally at parties where let's try this, and some of the routines that are in the show stemmed from that time.
Okay, so now, so you're not just the stage hypnotism. You're doing hypnotherapy for people too.
I
right?
do.
No-
Well, lately I travel a lot, so I don't really get a chance to have an office for people coming to me, but I do a lot of that for television. One of the things I'm a regular on for the last 5 years is the Maury Show. If you've ever seen people with weird phobias on that show, I'm the guy that helps them.
That's fantastic. So
It's a wonderful ability to be able to take somebody who had something debilitating, something that was stopping them from living their life, and actually giving them the quality of life that they do deserve.
And you chose to incorporate it with your comedy to make you stand out? Is that why you chose to do it?
Not really. One great thing that my show succeeds is putting smiles on people's faces. And when I get a chance to look back into the audience during the show, when somebody who completely forgot any of the troubles and they're truly enjoying the moment that I have created.
How many shows do you do a year?
Lately, about 200 to 300, so that
Wow.
keeps me on the road quite a bit, and literally worldwide.
Worldwide? And are they corporate shows, entertainment shows? I know you've been in movies as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the movies you've been in?
All right. A lot of the movies that I have done lately are documentary-based or something that involves hypnosis, where my talents, I guess, can enhance the experience. There's a movie that's coming out very shortly, and this is the year 2011 is 100 years from the moment that a gentleman walked into the Louvre and stole the Mona Lisa. So in a conversation with one of the people that I actually knew that was producing this movie, I asked, is there a chance, the possibility that they could be hypnotized, could have been hypnotized to actually come in and steal the Mona Lisa at the time? So the documentary trails from the beginning of time, how that happened, and the gentleman actually walked away literally straight out of the Louvre in France, in Paris, where he walked out with a painting under his coat.
And
the gentleman, Joe Medeiros, is putting the documentary. It's coming out later this year, so you'll get a chance, hopefully, to see some of my input into that.
Interesting. Okay, so now they always say, Boris, that you can't make anybody do something that they wouldn't otherwise do morally or whatever.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, but on the other hand, we had somebody on one of our shows with, I don't know, a couple years ago. He used to work for the U.S. military, and he was a hypnotist, hypnotherapist, whatever. But he said that really, if you really get right down to it, and if you have the level of expertise, that very top-notch expertise, that you could, what he said was that you could break down somebody's personality, rebuild them from the ground up as a new person, using hypnotic techniques.
I can simplify that even more. We all react to our own environments. It's a way for a hypnotist to be able to get the main group of people to be comfortable with what we do, is to say that yes, you will not do anything, and it's also a moral issue. When you do come up on stage specifically, you won't do anything against your will. Yeah, of course not. But if I change your reality, all you do is react to the reality that's painted around you. And if I create a different reality, then you become part of that reality and you react to it.
Which means you can do anything.
Absolutely.
To somebody.
I truly believe that. It's one of those that, can that be done? Yes. One of the coolest examples I can really give, if I tell somebody, let's go into the weird part of it. If I tell a lady to take off your clothes, absolutely against her morals. However, if I tell the lady that you're a stripper and create a different environment about her, then it becomes an absolutely natural thing to do. So if you play out the reality, and reality is completely different. We're different people to different friends. You actually get to talk to somebody one way, and in a work environment, you change your own personality.
Yep.
So we live in a trance. I truly believe that.
We
and that
live in a trance.
Yeah. I believe that we create our own trances, and simply take one trance and substitute it for another, and switch between those.
Interesting. Okay, so
I'm going to let you put me under just to demonstrate.
wait, before we get to that,
Okay.
though, Janette.
What happens at the shows? That was my question.
Well, listen, I want to ask. I got to ask this though, because you spend your life in this, working with this, with an intimate understanding of this technique, right?
That's all it is. Hypnosis is not a special power. If people are saying, "Oh, is it a magical thing?" No, I learned how to hypnotize.
Yeah.
The way I present it is something that I truly believe that is within me. I was always the guy that would be able to take an audience and suck them into my world, whether it's family gatherings to the moment when I step onto a stage in a theater.
So, being immersed in this environment as you are, and working at it from both sides, the entertainment side, the therapy side, and having this knowledge and this ability, what does it tell? I mean, what are your thoughts about what this says about the human condition? Because you're saying we're walking around in a trance, but what about concepts like free will and
it is
fate
free will
and that sort of thing? Can you?
That's the best part about it. We can control our own environment, and the best way I can present it is, how you walk into a room, and this is honestly the best example ever. Walk into a room with a smile on your face. Hi, how are you? you smiled back at me, but I started the whole thing. So once you know how those things work, everything changes. Everything around you changes. If you wake up in the morning grumpy, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go to work, whatever that might be that you're about to do, or you approach it with a different attitude, where you say to yourself, wow, it's a beautiful day outside. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm ready to go. Everything changes. And once you take that approach literally controls your life rather than... figure this, if you listen to the news is always bad. That's all they can report. There's very few wonderful pieces that doesn't sell. Once you learn how to decipher that, or commercials that you see on TV, they're trying to sell you something. If you look past that, it's not that beer is associated with naked women or half-naked women. It's a decent enough drink, or if you drink it, you might be in a good mood. That's what they're trying to sell.
So it's the emotional response of
the
drinking
emotional
the beer.
response is what they're trying to associate with it. Enough repetition of something.
And that's essentially hypnotizing.
That's
us,
essentially
right?
hypnotizing. Pavlovian response, dogs salivate when they hear a bell.
Right.
Oh, could it be Pavlovian?
Wait, now before we get to that, Janette, I'm still fascinated
wanna hear
with this.
Oh, it's a fascinating field. This is almost 30 years me doing this. It hasn't gotten old. That's the best way I can describe it. I try to put a completely positive spin on what I do everywhere I go. So at the end of the shows, I even put wonderful suggestions in people's minds to be able to either quit smoking, stop overeating, stop procrastinating. If I can help improve their life, then my job is done. If I made that little bit of a difference.
Now, what about this? Because, I mean, we hear about, the U.S. military, for example, and using this technique for military purposes, and things like MK Ultra and the creation of Manchurian candidates and all that kind of stuff. I know we're going into a dark area here.
It exists. So whether you realize it or not, it's there.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a disturbing thought to think that somebody, maybe the U.S. military, is using hypnosis to create people that are going to go around assassinating people.
Well, there's always ways of taking something that could be good into the dark side.
Yeah.
But there's also ways of taking that same power and directing it in something worthwhile.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to give you a chance to also promote. You said that you might be heading off to India soon, and you brought some pictures to show. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Well, I spent a lot of time on the road. One of the greatest things that exist these days is the phones that are connected to the internet, so you can Twitter and do all of the wonderful things. I actually have fun with it, so wherever I see something, I post it. But I do travel, so wherever people are looking at what I do, please come and see what I do, what I'm all about.
What's your next show? Where's your next show?
Actually, straight after this, I got a few days off, and then I'm off to Michigan. I do a lot of shows at colleges and universities where it becomes the talk of the town, because I'm not the star of the show. I make the stars out of the people on my stage.
Right.
So I create something bigger than life and then send them back into the audience to talk about.
Can we roll his promo? He brought something anyway. But I also want to ask you this while we're setting that up. Does the traveling ever get to be too much? Do you feel that it's this chosen line profession has impeded any other areas of your life?
Not really. If you live your life to the fullest, I truly live. If you do something, do it well or don't do it. And when I travel, the only thing that gotten old at this point in time is taking off my shoes at the airports. But other than that, I look forward to absolutely every show. When I get there and I step onto the stage, the world has ended, and this is what it's all about.
I also wanted to ask you if there was any hazards that came up as a result of hypnotizing anyone on it.
Not if done properly. Everything, just like in the wrong hands, something. That's literally why I read thousands of books and went through. My background is psychology, so a lot of what I do, down to little tiny things with body language. You see me come out on stage saying, "Hi, how are you?" Open palm, trust me. So a lot of different little things that will be related to the audience, and I'm not there to take advantage of them. I'm there to show them that you have a mind, use it. Don't let what's happening around you control how you live. You take your life and push it in the right direction. Seize all of the opportunities that come to you, and if they don't come, make them.
So how? Yeah, I mean, I mean, this is getting back to your statement about how we control our environment.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we will react to that environment.
Of course,
Right.
I took literally everything that I do and maybe even preach on stage into my life. And the people that, well, September 11th was the greatest example where the society just completely shifted from one direction to another, where people realized, oh my goodness, I actually didn't spend enough time with my family, my friends, whoever that might be, or paid enough attention to them. So, but that's simply because people forgot that, yes, the other people that matter in my life exist. And a tragic event just simply, I took that as a positive, that we were able to switch our thinking to concentrate on what is important rather than acquiring wealth or whatever that might be.
So if you were to, based on all this, just give any advice to anybody who's maybe looking around and thinking about all the negative stuff that's going on, and our last guest, as a matter of fact,
I listened. I actually enjoyed it quite a
so
bit.
that part where she was talking about where she did the healing on the woman who was being stalked by an ex-boyfriend, in a sense, they changed the vibe that they were putting out.
Well, if you get into that side of it, we're all connected by energy. We're just literally pieces of dirt that's put together with energy, if you really think about it. But energy is universal. So once you change one thing about your life, everything kind of falls into place afterwards. So I can relate to that completely.
Changing gears a bit, I was wondering, what would you have done with your life had you not been successful at pursuing this as a career?
Well,
and I know also you were part owner of a comedy club called Comedy Wood
right.
as well.
I believe laughter is one of the greatest things in the world, and we forget to laugh a lot of times. So anytime you put a smile on your face or people around you, it just brightens up everybody's day. I had a comedy, several comedy clubs that made a big difference in the Toronto and Canadian scene as far as even growing people, and I'm very, very proud of.
And they had big names there, right? Like Richard Lewis
and even the smaller ones that were literally at that point in time even nobodies that have progressed and are now in people's faces. And
can you give me an example of that?
Everybody that came up through the club, everybody from, I'll start naming names, the Doo-Wops, Frank Spadone, Deborah DiGiovanni, Jerry D. And this is just a few. There were so many more. I'm sure I'm forgetting people right off the cuff, but it's such a pleasure to see that they're now working and are able to entertain because they got a little bit of stage time. And the only prerequisite there was, you're funny, there's a stage. That's the only thing that I was hoping for. Meanwhile, I was still working like crazy at the time. So
you didn't really answer me, though. If you hadn't had the club and you didn't have the career as the incredible Boris hypnotist, what would you be doing right now?
What would I be doing right now? Well, I graduated in computers from Seneca College, and that was something, how can I put this the best way, to fall back on if this performing thing doesn't work. And earlier on, this was, what I do now was a hobby that turned into a huge career. So probably I would be working in computers. I was quite good at it. Still am quite good at it. That's why all of the electronic gadgets are still around me. But the fact that I never looked back. I worked as a computer programmer for a while, then became a consultant. I would walk into interviews saying, I can't do this date, and this date, and they still hired me. So,
wow, that's amazing.
Did you hypnotize him?
Your boss
to hire you?
No, but you know what?
How about
funny
for
enough,
a raise?
it's
You
a
want
different
to give me a raise.
attitude of how you walk into an interview. I literally got every job I walked into an interview for, with a simple reason that I walked into an interview, not I want this job, but with an attitude, you need me. And when you change that perspective, people all of a sudden sense that yes, you know what you're talking about, you are confident in your abilities, and you are the guy, the right person for that job.
And in a sense, you just changed your own approach. You changed your trance,
Right,
going into that.
and the trance is, I literally, like I said, I like to do things. If we do it all the way, or don't do it at all. So.
I just wonder. I don't know if we're gonna have time to do any actual hypnosis.
I think we have about 4 minutes.
Here.
Can we do it?
But
We can definitely try.
Okay.
What, can we? Okay.
Yeah, let's.
Maybe we can do it during the
We can do
musical
it
break.
in the commercial break.
Okay.
Commercial break, and then
And I'm curious to know, what were your influences? Like, as an entertainer, who influenced you to want to do this?
One of the biggest people in my life was Johnny Carson. It was a true entertainer that could take a moment. If you look up on the internet, you can probably find that clip where there was a guy on the show who came absolutely from nowhere, throwing tomahawks into a board to get it. And the tomahawk ended in the compromising area of a chalk outline on that board. I think that was the longest laugh at the time, just because Johnny was able to milk that moment. And being able to take that moment and make it funny, down to delivering lines which could not be made funny, but were made funny. As a matter of fact, I actually took one of those things as a challenge in Minneapolis, and comedians finally came up with a routine that cannot be made funny, or a subject that cannot be made funny, and that was whitewater rafting. All of the big names that were ever through the room could not make that routine funny, going from the guys from Lewis Black to you name it. Just some of the names that you would recognize, they all tried, and people would just, you'd hear crickets in the room and they would have to bring it back up. I wrote a routine on a napkin when that was presented to me, and it's still to this day in my show.
Is there anyone you haven't worked with that you would like to work with, or, you know, what's next for you?
What's next for me? I spent a lot of time gearing a lot of things towards television, and just filmed a couple pilots for that, where hypnosis is involved. As a matter of fact, the Toronto International Film Festival, we were filming some stuff there where one of the pilots, we'll see what happens with it, because most of them don't get made. But
I actually saw you at the TIFF.
Right, and that was
the
walking
party.
the red carpet with, I guess the premise was not to be revealed at that time, but I can talk about it now, where I hypnotized a gentleman to believe that he's one of the big superstars from Bollywood.
Oh.
And down to people around them who made sure that there's cameras and reporters. But as far as they were concerned, they believed that he was one of the biggest Bollywood stars, Abhichan Bachchan, which he's married to the most beautiful person, beautiful lady, apparently, in the world. So.
You mean the Bollywood stars?
Yeah, the Bollywood stars.
Yeah,
So,
they were in Toronto, yeah.
We brought them down, and
she
that was
did the eye makeup commercial for the mascara.
right. And I hypnotized the gentleman to believe that he is her husband, walking around thinking that's who he is, signing autographs, down to doing interviews.
how long does that last? I mean, can that be made to last forever?
As
that you're
long as
thinking
I really put it in their minds. Hypnosis can be controlled that way, or people will sleep it off. So usually a day. Until they go to sleep.
I'm getting
Okay.
scared.
All right. Well, listen,
We're getting a little out of time.
We're just about out of time here, Boris, but this is fascinating. Love to have you back and maybe get into this a little
Do
bit
you
more.
want to show your promo for announce where we can find you?
You can find me very easily. Comedywood.com. That used to be the clubs. I took over the website. Or the other pointer is incredibleBoris.com. Comedywood.com is the most easiest way, just like think Hollywood and comedy at the same time, comedywood.com. And I do primarily lately things from theater and college universities to corporate shows, where a company will bring me in for motivational team building things, to different little ways of presenting it, where a product may be even infused into the show.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so as we go to break, put me out. I'm yours. part.
Are we going to do this? Okay, so we're going to play some music and we're going to keep watching Boris and Janette get hypnotized.
All right.
And then we're going to come back with Krista Hannison, Ms. Teen York. Is it Miss or Ms? I don't.
Ms.
Is it Ms?
Teen York
Teen
Region.
York Region. Right after this, thatchannel.com.
Okay.
Now you listen, ooh, knowing lonely, ooh, the bitter story that the main street knows about, the people walking, ooh, yeah, they too far to wake her now, though scorning you may be. Ooh, Alice, my baby, don't hide up your face when anyone tries to glance your way, but you know just a good night story. I guess now isn't the time to say who would have known. You jump into a hole from inside, chasing rabbit white and bread butterflies, and Alice she falls by. It's too far to wake her. I was born on Radical Road. You gotta learn to take me as I am, 'cause life's too short to give a rebel damn. I may not be the sanest one you know, but it's a hell of a ride. Down Radical Road. So don't go trying to make me fit the mold, 'cause I'll just leave you standing in the cold. Yeah, loving me might be a heavy load.
still some meat on that bone, Jake. When they finally write my name on that old stone, the angels come and carry me back home. I won't apologize when I kneel down at the throne. I'll say it's your fault, Lord, I was born on Radical Road. You gotta learn to take me as I am, 'cause life's too short to give